Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome back to my channel. Today, I have another amazing guest, and she doesn't really need an introduction, but I will afford her and dignify her by doing so. Everybody might know her as AKA Smurf Girl, but my guest tonight is Vanessa Hanson, and I just want to say what a beautiful privilege that it is to be able to talk to you, Vanessa. Welcome. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. It's
Oh,
amazing to see
my
you.
pleasure. Oh, thank you so much. So, yeah, I think I just want to say to everybody, I first came into contact with Vanessa's channel when she was Smurf Girl a while ago now, and I've always wanted to talk to her and get her take on life and experiences and all things Jehovah's Witnesses face to face. And now we have that privilege. So I just want to ask you, Vanessa, can you um, tell me what your connection is with Jehovah's Witnesses, how you came to be a witness, what happened in your childhood growing up? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was one of those born into it with no choice. And both my parents were special pioneers when I was born, which is a unique experience. And, Dad used to brag that he was the youngest elder ever appointed in Watchtower history. That's Dad bragging to everybody. And I had to hear that for years and years and have that kind of stress put on me that, you know, watching my parents raise the ranks of Watchtower, I did at the same exact time, being their kid, and them being special pioneers. And yeah, that was a huge stress of having to worry as a kid about my dad's privileges in the organization. Like every elder's kid knows that. Every kid who has a dad who's a Jehovah's Witness knows how their behavior affects their father's privileges and status in the congregation. Of whether he's trying to get them, already has them, doesn't want to lose them. And so I also come from the Hansons. My dad's side of the family are junkyard Jehovah's Witnesses. So they were a dirty Jehovah's Witness family, of which there's at least one in every Kingdom Hall. There's always that large, dirty Jehovah's Witness family with way too many kids, and the kids are, whatever. And so my dad had a lot of siblings, so did my mom. And so having 11 blood uncles and 2 aunts and extended aunts and uncles, because I had so many, everybody was an aunt and an uncle. In a large family, a lot of bad things can happen, homicides and abuse. And when I started to, talk about it with the authorities, because that's when it really kind of, in December of 2021, when one of my abuser, Uncle Brent, went nuts on another one of my abusers, I had to explain that to the police and show them my YouTube channel, stuff like that. And it kind of was a huge clarifying moment.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. I don't even yeah, so that's my history with Watchtower. But yeah, like my abuse, even before I came on the internet, was the most talked about abuse ever, because when I was abused, it resulted in that gossip, which is really what it was. It became an urban legend, but it was legendary abuse. This little girl that made the Smurf walk down the aisle of the Kingdom Hall by the power of the demons, because the situation was so demonized. That was the Jehovah's Witness situation I was in.
Right.
And the gossip, of course, wasn't accurate. I was not the demonized one. It was demonized Jehovah's Witnesses that blamed me. They're like, oh, that little girl, Vanessa, she's so demonized. It must have all been her fault. Because that's what Jehovah's Witnesses do. They demonized me as a little girl, where people just immediately, oh, yeah, there must be a real demonized little girl that could cause something like that. It's like, well, you don't, and I used to say this to my mom and dad. It's like, oh, you don't know, you think I'm demonized? You don't know demonized. I'll go onto the internet and blow this wide open if you want, you
Mm.
know. So I
Well,
did.
you did, but the fact is, oh, thank you for that. And I just wanted to say before I just say what I need to say that I know most people who have followed you and read your story know that you have been through some pretty vile things. And so I just want to say that if you're not comfortable about talking about your experiences, everybody will understand that. I understand that. So you say what you need to say, but also the fact that many witnesses, I know this for a fact, many witnesses who are still in message me. So when they see your video, this is what is going to happen, Vanessa. When they see your video, they're going to put two and two together and get four, right? Because your testimony and your strength and courage to speak out about what you went through. How can a little girl be demonized? More like the adults. It's the adult, and they just want to project and gaslight onto the little kids, the innocent kids, which is what you were at the time. I mean, I'm getting annoyed just listening to you because I'm thinking I can only imagine what this girl went through, you know. And I
Yeah.
don't worry, I've read the posts, I've read the negativity about you, you know, the cruelness, the harshness, and all I can say to you lot is go and get a life and don't support this girl by barraging her with criticism. Seriously, if you've got nothing nice and encouraging to say to this girl who's been through so much, then don't bother commenting at all. Seriously.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, sorry. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, after everything happened with Uncle Brent going nuts, because he went nuts because of the Smurf legend. That was 100%. He, realized, he knew, of course, it was me. He didn't know I had gone online, and that he didn't know how many of you guys had heard about it. Same as me. That was a shock for me to go online and hear that so many people were still talking about my abuse. And I'm thinking, well, this is going to actually be pretty easy for me to take down Watchtower since everybody's heard about it. And so when he saw what was going on, he killed my Uncle Clyde and pregnant Aunt Jessica. And my Uncle Clyde is the reason why he was the main instigator for that Smurf legend, sadly.
Right.
And Brent knew it. And Clyde and was flapping his mouth in a way that, Brent's volatile and, yada, 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 baseball bat, machete. And it's like, Watchtower, how in the world could you let that go so bad? My Aunt Jessica, being 9 months pregnant, got chopped with the machete 130 times. 100. It took me a while for them to tell me that.
Oh
And
my
Clyde
God.
got the baseball bat 18 times. And it's like, and they were some of the ones trolling in the comments too, of which trolling can get you a baseball bat and a machete. To anybody, be careful what you say to somebody. They were trolling. Brent knew that they were calling me a liar and that I wasn't. And so he lost his mind. Like, this whole thing has been an absolute nightmare. And it's like, how do you explain that to a police officer? Like, they're like, I was trying to, yeah, because he was confessing and they thought he was crazy. They're like, is this guy crazy? He's ranting and raving about a Smurf and he just murdered 3 people. It was a bloodbath. Why did he go crazy like that? Because he did a lot of demonized stuff with the killing. He did it on purpose. He did a lot of Smurf type behavior, Smurf legend behavior.
So Vanessa, can I just ask you, when you say, just so that I understand, when you say Smurf behavior and demonized, what does that mean? Does it mean what? First of all, I'll ask you why you use Smurf. What's the connotation for that? And then I'll ask you the other question.
Because of the Smurf legend. you know, the legend of the Smurf walking down the aisle of the Kingdom Hall.
Right.
In with the killing that he did, he tried to incorporate as many things that I was speaking about on my YouTube channel.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
I had done some martyr videos of how Jehovah's Witnesses act like martyrs, and that the name Jehovah's Witnesses means martyr. So he wanted them to look like they were martyred, like that they were
Oh,
martyred, you know. And he incorporated like tarot cards and Ouija board, made my little cousin Ty participate in that. Didn't give him any food or water for 4 days, and so he was less than 3, and so he's, you know, covered in blood and guts from 130 machete whacks, you know. He was drinking out of the toilet.
wow.
Brent did, like, he just did everything that everyone that was trolling me in the comments about not believing me, he did it.
He did
So
it.
that I wouldn't, yeah, because it made him mad because he was the one that did a lot of that stuff. And as a psychopath, like as a psychopath killer, they like to get credit a lot of times for what they do. Like Ted Bundy likes to get credit, you know, like to get credit for what he did, or Jeffrey Dahmer likes to get credit for what he did. And if people were calling Jeffrey, you know, just imagine if like somebody was calling Jeffrey Dahmer a liar and saying, you didn't eat human flesh, you're such a liar, you didn't do that. Where then Jeffrey Dahmer then goes and does it again in public to prove to people that he wasn't lying about doing it.
Exactly.
That's what he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
So, you
goodness.
know, really, yeah, a lot of it'll probably be classified for a long time. They made my Uncle Brent take a plea bargain because they didn't want it to go to trial because it was going to end up being so bad.
So
They
bad.
were worried. Yeah,
Wow.
they were worried other people might do it, or, you know, who
Okay.
knows.
Mm.
But, you know, to any, you know, people that were being a troll, that pushed my Uncle Brent over the edge, because he knew
Right.
Uncle Clyde was responsible for that being talked about me, that I was demonized.
I mean,
And
I find just listening to you, I find it both disturbing and absolutely fascinating at the same time that these men who were, correct me if I'm wrong, when I've done the research and I've read about you, they have been like high up. They haven't just been like in the congregation. I mean, didn't some of your relatives actually support the governing body, members of the governing body too? I
oh
mean,
yeah.
and then when you say demon, when you say that they do things that are demonized, again, correct me if I'm wrong. Does this include things like demon rituals, like ritualistic stuff too?
Yeah, just like what Uncle Brent did. Like that's what I was talking about. And yeah, like with no blood transfusion policy, that's a blood ritual. Whether
Yeah.
witnesses don't realize it, that's a blood contract. You're agreeing to bleed to death for Watchtower.
Oh my
That
goodness.
is a legalized blood ritual. You know, that's
Okay.
why we are all freaked out about it, because it is. Every apostate knows that no blood transfusion policy is something scary, Jonestown, bleeding out, awful.
Yeah.
And they've found a way to do it publicly.
Yeah. Well, they have to give their quota to Satan, don't they? You know, he demands, you know, if they want to stay at the top, it's, you know, it's not an easy life. They've got to prove their loyalty to him by hiding in plain sight. This is what I've discussed in previous videos, but having your take on it for somebody, for a little girl that was growing up and had to witness all of the things that you witnessed, I cannot even begin to imagine. And look at you. You've cut you I mean, you still obviously get traumatized and triggered by it. I mean, nobody can blame you for that. I mean, it's horrific. There's some things that time will never ever heal. But I think talking about it and help you, I know for a fact this is going to help so many people. So you honestly, look at that lovely smile. So many people need to hear this story, and straight from your mouth, Vanessa, and to quash all of these things that people say and have said in a way that, you know, is condemnatory without actually finding out the facts. Seriously, you're a human being. All they have to do is message you and say, can you just clarify that, Vanessa, instead of getting on, you know, online and just, like you say, trolling. But so this Uncle Brent of yours, is he the one that's just gone down recently then? Is he right?
Yeah,
Okay.
my Uncle Brent more recent, my Uncle Morris Hanson in 2011, and my Uncle Louis Busatil in 2011 as well. So 3 uncles have gone to prison. 1 uncle's been killed, 1 aunt's been killed, 1 cousin, 2 other cousins committed suicide. I mean, my best friend Lauren Stewart in 2018 committed triple homicide too and killed herself.
Oh
My
no.
ex-boyfriend Daniel Ryder Hunter committed suicide. Like, I'm like the sole survivor of it.
Right.
Like,
And
it's
all of
been,
that'll have been Jehovah's Witness connected. I might add as well. Yeah, is that right? Is
oh
it all
yeah, all
Jehovah's
Jehovah's
Witnesses?
Witnesses. All of
Oh,
them either
terrible!
connected, raised, yeah.
Isn't that terrible? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's been a journey. Yeah, I was already like halfway through my journey by the time I went onto the internet, because already my Uncle Morris and my Uncle Louis had been arrested. And then there were suspicions about my mom dying, that it, you know, there were certain confessions that that was homicide too. And she was wrapped in a tarp. And I had said to my, you know, my Aunt Jessica and her mom, who's a New York Jehovah's Witness, I was like, I just don't want you to end up dead and wrapped in a tarp like my mom. Okay. You know, I'm going to go. I told him ahead of time. I said, I'm going online. She married my Uncle Clyde in 2016. I said, I'm going online to talk about my abuse, to talk about this Smurf thing. And no, you know, you're married to Uncle Clyde, who's the reason of why I'm going online. And he's a pedophile. So is Uncle Brent.
Mm.
And she knew, she admitted it. She said Clyde bursted into tears and admitted what he did to me, and that she was going to try and get him help. And I'm like, okay, if you think you're going to get him help, that's fine. I'm going online. You're on your own. If you wind up wrapped in a tarp like mom, which she did, Brent did the machete and wrapped her in a tarp of exactly what I, was worried about. And they didn't, it's frustrating when somebody doesn't listen, and she took their side. She let Uncle Brent babysit little Ty, and I just don't understand why Jehovah's Witnesses are so ignorant. It's like they'll do the exact opposite of what an apostate says. It was like, I told them, don't do this, don't do these are the things, and they went and did the exact opposite on purpose. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
My story, I actually experienced abuse in other areas, not like you. My story is a walk in the park compared to what you've been through. Oh, and mine was bad enough, but
Yeah.
I absolutely take my hat off to you. I cannot even wrap my head around these things that you've just been talking about. And the fact that Jehovah's Witnesses, I mean, it must sicken you every single time that these people, members of the governing body, they get up there and they spout off, and they come across as so plausible and so, nice people and lovely. But you know the truth. You know the truth about these men at the top, because your family, especially the male part of your family, have been linked with them. And so you're an authority on it. You can speak out against this. And here's the thing. I'll invite any member of the governing body right now, when they see this interview, to come forward. And how dare they even try and attempt to say that you're making all of this nonsense up, right? Because it isn't nonsense. It's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
And they never, well, like one of them's admitted, hasn't he, recently? We don't have to apologize for getting scriptures wrong, so they're not going to apologize for hiding up everything like somebody like you has been through, they're not going to come to the plate and protect you and say, no, like we're going to do something about this, because they're a cult. They are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's going to be crazy when you're dealing with a cult. There's no the reason why they're a cult is because they're dangerous and they kill people and they cause people to kill themselves and others. Like it happens all the time. And like as much as like my abuse with the stupid, you know, me being demonized because of the Smurf, like I don't even know where to begin. Like it's kind of like we jumped in head first about stuff, but you
Yeah.
know, it was just a
Sorry.
demonized situation.
Yeah.
But with how everybody was talking about it, with how gossiped it was, you know, does anybody think that the governing body wouldn't want to know or know exactly who that happened to, considering they've got all the judicial records, they know everybody's business. With that being talked about, that was, I mean, that's how I got to meet them. They wanted to know what in the world happened, you know.
No.
And yeah, it was, you know, I've never really told the whole, you know, the whole thing because I wasn't able to, because I knew that if I told, you know, the names and everything, I'd have to mention my Uncle Brent, my Uncle Clyde, my dad, you know, and I didn't want to set them off. But when that situation happened, it was my Uncle Clyde had done something to me, and he was taunting me about it during the meeting. And if you've seen pictures of me as a little girl, I personally looked like a little Smurf. And when Clyde did what he did to taunt me, I flipped out. Like it was the biggest tantrum at the Kingdom Hall you've ever seen in your entire life.
Wow.
Yeah, I jumped on my Uncle Clyde at 9 years old. And so Clyde and everybody said, oh, she looked like a demonized Smurf running down the aisle of Kingdom Hall. She jumped on a chair and declared her love for Satan. Like, you know, it was about me. Like I physically looked like one. You know, she, you know, it was like she had such a tantrum at the Kingdom Hall because of what Uncle Clyde did, because Clyde, you know, Clyde and Brenton, but, you know, Clyde was taunting me about what had happened, of what they had done to me. And he was being, you know, a jerk, of which I've got him on tape being a jerk. So yeah, I flipped out. I flipped out like a demonized Smurf. And my dad had said that if Uncle Clyde did that to me one more time at the Kingdom Hall, I was allowed to hit him. So it was like, okay, I'm allowed to hit my Uncle Clyde in like self-defense if he does what he does. So I did. And, you know, it got ugly and it got talked about. And so, yeah, just like, you know, even Lloyd Evans had a Watchtower representative go there for his judicial. So you can imagine how many brothers were on a judicial having to do with a little girl flip out like a demonized Smurf during the meeting and jump on her Uncle Clyde. I tried to rip out every hair out of his head. I mean, it was like a lead up of a baseball bat machete situation of why it ended up like that eventually. That's how it started. That's how it ended.
Right. Okay.
It was legendary. It seriously was legendary, Karen. It was just,
I can't. Yeah, I have no words. I've just got. For the first time. Hey, I've got nothing to. I can't. I don't even know how to respond to that.
yeah.
All sorts of things are going through my mind, and no wonder you flipped out. But here's the insidious, evil thing: as a little girl, you would have had no control over being able to vocalize why you responded like that. You would have just been closed down. Oh, you know,
Oh yeah.
demonized. and all this kind of thing. So then as a young girl, you're left festering, because let's be honest, children do not know how to process emotions like adults. So they learn how to stuff all of this away. But it's going to rear its ugly head, you know, once you hit teenage years and adulthood, and then holy moly, it's like an avalanche breaking forth. And that's why you've been online. That's why you've done your channel. That's why you've spoken out, because this is your time. This is your time, Vanessa. And you have every right to expose these dogs for what they are. In fact, calling them dogs is actually an insult to dogs. Seriously,
Yeah,
because
it is.
they're beyond that. They are absolutely the scum of the earth. And I've had many, many emails where people have been in situations where, as kids, they've been sexually abused by Jehovah's Witnesses. And every single one of them, bar one, they've been elders, or they've been circuit overseers, or they've been in positions of responsibility where they'll be able to hide everything under the carpet and just make out as though the kid doesn't know what they're talking about, and they're just making it up. But you see,
Yeah.
those days, they're disappearing fast, because guess what? People are starting to listen to kids now. They are starting to listen to their voices, and you know, we need more Australian Royal Commissions. We need more of those. We need more of those, like, regularly, because this organisation. I'm not vindictive, and I'm not malicious, and I don't hate anybody, but I hate people's behaviour. I hate liars, and I hate people that try to cover up the truth. And the governing body and the Watchtower are all three, and the tower needs to be pulled down. Seriously, you know,
Yeah.
who's supporting you now, Vanessa? You know, who is supporting you to help you navigate through all of this trauma that you've been through?
Me? Oh yeah, just I'm all by myself. Like
Exactly.
oh man, I after it happened, after the homicides happened, because well, just before this is okay. Watchtower has totally admitted guilt with all these changes that have happened. Of the admission of guilt of what they're doing right now is I had declared Beardageddon like just a few months before the triple homicide. I had done that video called Watchtower and the Beardless Jesus and Beardageddon about how they thought that they taught even that Jesus didn't have a beard for like 40 years. And I declared Beardageddon, and it was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to start naming names. I'm going to name names. I don't care. You guys are being stupid. You know, I waited long enough. If you can't get your act together, Brent and Clyde and Aunt Jessica, you know, that's just, they were acting stupid. And I was worried for their little tie, because I saw that, you know, there was still pedophilia going on. And so I started to name names, and I forget the whole point of why I started to say this. Oh, with the recent changes. So I had declared Beardageddon, and then Brent snaps. And so then after the events of his plea bargain, which was huge, the Jehovah's Witnesses got all mad over Uncle Brent's plea bargain. He didn't get the death penalty because me as a surviving victim, I didn't feel he deserved the best death penalty for what he did. And the courts agreed. So when the courts agreed with me on everything, then Watchtower then did the Beardageddon, and girls can wear pants, because I wasn't like I would record my legs. So it's like a Smurf Girl paradise going on to Kingdom Hall. You know, a bunch of Papa Smurfs and Smurf girls in pants walking around up and down the Kingdom Hall like a bunch of stupid Smurfs at the Kingdom Hall. It's really, really poignant, like super poignant. Because I would go to the Kingdom Hall and crash it with skinny jeans on purpose to irritate. Because Tony Morris is an honorary uncle. So I've always called him Uncle Tony Morris. So for Uncle Tony to be taken off the governing body too, like, because that was all the things that I was talking about. I want my Uncle Tony Morris taken off the governing body and Beardageddon. They couldn't have been, you know, admitted guilt anymore if they had tried, like if, you know, if somebody's like, oh, did they try? Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was all done on purpose as part of the court case of some demands. When Smurf Girl demands some stuff, you know, I
Right.
demanded it, and it needed to be done, because I think they were a little afraid. It's like, oh God, you know,
Mm.
her words can cause a major reaction.
I was going to say a little afraid. I wonder how if they even slept at night. Seriously, you would have been their worst nightmare, wouldn't you? Surely.
Oh yeah, I've been their worst nightmare for years. They've been terrified of me coming forward. I got
Right.
married off at 16 years old. You know who I was supposed to marry? I almost married Mark Sanderson. I
I
wanted to marry.
know. I know. I've read your
So
posts. Oh my God. Tell us
I
about
know.
that, please.
Oh, I know. I want to put. I want to be extra cute for Mark Sanderson. No,
All
I
right. Yeah.
give a shout out.
Hello, Mark. Hope you're all right,
Hey,
buddy.
hey, Mark Sanderson. Yeah, my little former fiance. I hope he's
Really?
eating his little fucking heart out. Sorry.
Honestly. Seriously. I mean, what's the story there, Vanessa? Please.
He was my Uncle Jeremy's friend. You know, I knew him before he was anything. You know, he was just a little stooge at the Kingdom Hall. And I was interested in him. He was a young circuit overseer. And we tried several times to date. And okay, Karen, this is really hysterical though. He was my Uncle Jeremy's like best friend for a while, and he looks just like my Uncle Jeremy. So I'd be like, anytime he would do something stupid, I'd be like, okay, Uncle Jeremy, you know, go ahead and act like Uncle Jeremy, Mark Sanderson.
Right.
And but I loved him. Like I was in love with stupid Mark Sanderson, and you know, he's becoming a circuit overseer. He was attractive as a Jehovah's Witness guy, you know, a single circuit overseer. Oh my God, he was like, you
Right.
know,
Okay. Yeah.
he was an eligible bachelor that everybody was pushing me towards. And I told Mark of why it was poignant that he's the first one to grow a beard on the governing body. I had told him because he looks so much like my Uncle Jeremy. I'm like, the only way that, because I had kissed him for the first time. And it was just,
You kissed Mark Sanderson.
yes, yuck. Yes, I did. Well, you know, I dated him. Of course, I did more than kiss him. I
Ah.
did. I did more than kiss him. So I don't know. Do you think I would kiss him? Do you think, I mean, Mark, remember when we kissed each other? God. So anyway.
Wow, this
I
is
like completely lost my mind. No, because when I
gold.
saw him do that, I had told him that the only way I would marry him is if he grew a beard so that he wouldn't look like my Uncle Jeremy. Because he seriously, they both look like little, you know, I don't even know. And so he's like, but I can't go against the organization. I can't grow a beard. And we broke up because of it, because I could not marry a man that looked exactly like my Uncle Jeremy, you know? So then it's like, oh, so now you can grow a beard. Now that you think you're the faithful and discreet slave, Mark Sanderson, now all of a sudden, and he's never been married. It's probably because he's still hung up on me. Guaranteed it. Guaranteed. He's still hung up on me. And that's why he's never been married. I know it. He knows it. Get over it, Mark.
Oh my goodness. This is a world first, guys. Oh wow. Look, I mean,
no, because I mean it's true, you know.
But yeah. Oh wow. So that was the connection. You actually dated, because I've seen posts and I'm thinking Vanessa's just having a bit of a laugh here. But you were actually, you two were actually an item at one stage. So
yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then you've got, obviously, you know, your Tony Morris is your kind of like, you know, god uncle or whatever. Yeah. I mean, do you know what happened to him? Do you know why he was removed? Do you know that? Or you don't?
Oh, well, yeah, because I was talking about him so much, like
Ah,
they knew, well, they knew what was going on in court because my Aunt Jessica, who got the machete, her and her family are all New York Jehovah's Witnesses, like major New York, like she's got major people in her family too. And so her mom and her sister and everybody saw my videos of me talking, and they know because Clyde, that's how he bagged a girl 30 years younger than him, is by, well, I know Brother Morris. Like Clyde, that's how he got her to marry him, is by bragging about how many people. And my godfather is Sidney Jurgens, a Jurgens Bethel Bus Tours.
ah,
So it was just what really was the defining factor is that Jessica's mother flipped out too. So it was coming from my side of apostasy, but it was also coming from her New York Jehovah's Witness family, which I know was probably more pivotal than me even.
right.
Because,
Okay.
because it was her daughter that got the machete because of my situation. So she completely, flipped out. And yeah, I mean that was, that was 100% why, because also like a few days before it was announced, I had a nervous breakdown and I got arrested because I had a PTSD moment, like major PTSD, and flipped out, and the police didn't understand. And so I did 6 months in jail. So when they found out that I was arrested, that it was right after I was put in, arrested, then,
Right.
it's like, yeah, that they needed to do something, and they needed to do something quick because it was going to get worse if they didn't,
Right.
you know?
So they
Yeah. So
removed. So
that
they.
six
So
months in jail was worth it.
really. So well, I mean, I can't. I can try and understand, but you shouldn't have never had to have gone there in the first place if you hadn't have suffered trauma and abuse. So when you say that, so that happened around the same time that Anthony Morris got removed. Is that what you're saying? Is that what triggered you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it would. The annual meeting is in September, right? The end of September, whenever the
Yeah,
annual meeting
October.
is.
Yeah, October. Yeah.
Yeah. Jessica's family called me and told me, they're like, it's been voted on at the annual meeting. It's a done deal. He's removed, and they're going to announce it sometime in the beginning of the year. And so I heard about it ahead of time. I even called Six Screens of the Watchtower and tried to tell them about it. But I think because I was saying it ahead of time, they didn't believe me,
Mm.
stereotypical. And I even tried to call Kim and Mikey and tell them ahead of time. And it was like talking to, I don't even know. I really don't know. So that kind of like, I was just hoping and praying that it was going to happen. And on January 5th, he was announced like towards the middle or end of January. It was like the anticipation of hearing that it was going to happen and then trying to tell certain people that it was going to happen and getting kind of a weirdo response about it, like an unbelievable response. I just flipped out. Like, I can't believe it. Here, Uncle Tony is going to get removed from the governing body. And if I don't get believed about this, I am going to lose my mind. And so I did.
Right.
I did.
Okay.
It's amazing what like just one negative comment can do. Like you can be readily accepted and believed by 10,000 people, but if one person says something to the contrary, it can
Yeah.
ruin,
Yeah.
a bunch of positives.
I was just going to say you can have 100 scenarios and 99 are positive and then one's negative, and it's the negative one that everybody remembers, not the 99 positive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So obviously you're here to say for a fact that Tony Morris wasn't removed from the governing body because he got caught buying hundreds of bottles of, 14 bottles of Macallan whiskey. That's, I mean, he might have been a bit of an alcoholic. I don't know. But you're telling us that, I mean, it's probably got nothing to do with that, but everything to do with the fact that, he needed to go because things were getting from bad to worse where you were concerned, basically. And I think what you mean by that is that they knew that you were going to talk, that you were going to speak. So they wanted to get shut of him before you were going to start opening up. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and what the thing is that in the apostate community, of what the apostate community knows, the Jehovah's Witnesses know even more about what really happened, because the Jehovah's Witnesses were talking about what was going on, because Jehovah's Witnesses were murdered. Like, I had a bunch of them reach out to me like, oh my God, I knew your Uncle Clyde, not Jessica. Like, all the New York Jehovah's Witnesses, there was a big Jehovah's Witness. They had Jehovah's Witness funerals. So the Jehovah's Witnesses were at their funerals. Like, here's this base, but there was 2 funerals. So here's all these Jehovah's Witnesses going to their funeral, hearing about it, helping them with funeral expenses. Then, oh gosh, that's Smurf Girl's uncle. That's the girl whose Smurf walked down the aisle of Kingdom Hall. That was 2 of her uncles that did that we went to that funeral for. Like, the witnesses went to the funerals. So the witnesses know more than even any apostate or even myself. Well, I was there, but they know, the witnesses know why those changes happened, because they were at the funerals. They saw it. They were also the ones that ignored my warnings when I would go in and out of the Kingdom Hall all the time. This is a Masonic black mass. Tony Morris is from the Philip Morris cigarette family. Like, I dressed a little girl up in a Smurf costume, took her to the memorial, and told everybody about Tony Morris.
Wow.
And the witnesses were the ones that saw that. They were there in person, seeing me do that. It was a way bigger deal in person. So when then the girl who went and caused that scene at the Kingdom Hall, they then have to go to the funeral for it. That was why Watchtower made those changes, is because those Jehovah's Witnesses were like, that girl came into our Kingdom Hall and made a big giant scene talking about that it was murderous and pedophilia and blah, blah, blah. And then come to find out that Smurf girl wearing those skinny pants and bringing her friends with and flying an airplane banner, going on television for Silent No More, all these huge things. Then they're like, what's Watchtower's response gonna be? That girl making that big giant scene, even bigger than a Smurf walking down the aisle of Kingdom Hall, like flying airplane banners.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like of Jehovah's, all of San Diego saw that airplane banner in person. It didn't look like much on video. In person, it flew around that San Diego convention for like 20-30 minutes. Like, we just showed.
What did it say on the banner?
That Jehovah's Witnesses hide abuse and jwfacts.com.
Oh, wow. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, and we stood out there with banners, and I snuck into the assembly and freaked them out. I'm always freaking them out because the brothers don't know how to handle me. It's like, just let her go. Just let her go. We don't want to make a scene. So it's like, they know. Yeah. When I think one of the mistakes I made is that you didn't see what I looked like when that was happening. You only saw it like from my perspective.
From your perspective.
And you also didn't see, you didn't see the Jehovah's Witnesses' faces or hear what they were talking. Like, there was even of me and all my friends, like Gilbert Gonzalez and Stacy and Trisha and everybody, we were on Watchtower's most wanted list, like in a Watchtower FBI kind of list, where brothers were passing our pictures around, and mine was the most wanted picture because Gilbert got a letter a letter of a cease and desist. that, you know,
Whoa.
your invitation has been, yeah, Stacy, Trisha, they all got letters, but Watchtower couldn't find me or know what I looked like to be able to give me one. And they were wanting, they're like, who is this? What's her name? What's her face? You know, we need to know what her face looks like. We need to know what her name is. It's like, oh, you're not, you know, if you're too stupid to figure it out, Watchtower, it's like Mark Sanderson. Go in your little trinket box of your only ex-girlfriend who you're still hung up on and haven't gotten married your whole life. Go in your little box, Mark Sanderson, and you'll figure out what my name is.
What your name is, exactly. That is just like, that's such a story about him. But you know, it's all that to one side, you know, that you've been through what you've been through. And I mean, I think as well that you haven't even scratched the surface.
No.
I think a returning guest invite might be on the cards for you further down the track, please, my dear friend. I just feel that all that aside, look at you, you have, okay, you've been through, you know, hell and back, and you know, flashbacks, post-traumatic stress. Nobody's really supported you in with that. I might add, you know, if I can support you in any way ongoing, you know, I have a mental health background. Um, I would
Okay.
love to help you, you know, if you ever need to just sound off. I just feel that you are such a strong lady. What your experiences have made you get up, stand up, and be counted. Because most people who have only been through half of what you've been through, they just would not be on this mortal coil anymore. They'd be checking out. They'd be checking out. And so, you know, I take my hat off to you, Vanessa. I really, really do. You're such a brave, beautiful, brave lady. And just yeah, I mean, I've been able to breathe again, because for a while I'm listening to you and I stopped breathing, you know, because I was just in shock. No, seriously, I'm not kidding you. It's just like, is wow, you know, this is just like so traumatic, and I'm almost walking through that journey with you. But obviously, I have no idea. I mean, growing up as a little girl and then going to the Kingdom Hall and then having these relatives that are just like not even, you know, they're high up there, you know, they're elders, and then, you know, they're doing all of these nefarious things, you know, killing people, using machetes. And then you've got, you know, the likes of Mark Sanderson, Tony Morris in your life. You know, you've gone through the steps, haven't you? You've gone through the ranks yourself, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Honestly.
they've always put me on a pedestal in Watchtower. Like ever
Right.
since that, you know, that beginning of what do you think they would want to do with me? After that all happens, like I think I've always been a scene maker anyway, make, you know, like when you get known for making a big giant scene at the Kingdom Hall, you know, it's like,
You
oh,
might as
I'm
well,
used,
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna make the biggest stupid
Yeah.
scene ever. Like you
Yeah.
know, oh my God. And so being comfortable, you know, like seriously, like if Watchtower thinks that I've made a scene at the Kingdom Hall so far, wait until I actually start acting like myself. And I,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
show, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it could be a bigger scene than what they know.
Like
Like,
collectively, every scene that you've made, when you start being yourself now, and that, you know what? And I can imagine you actually, I can imagine you being calm, collected, but just saying it as you need to hit them with it, you know? That's just going to
yeah.
destroy them, you know? And I'll tell you what, I wish I lived near you, because I'd be joining you. I'd be right there at the side of you, honestly,
Oh, I know that would be,
supporting it,
I
you know?
need as many Smurfs in my army as humanly possible.
And
Yeah.
sign me up, sign me up, sign me up. I'll be there in spirit, definitely, you know. But no, honestly, you have, see, this organization, the problem is this, Vanessa. The internet,
Mhm.
social media, you know, the internet has just been public enemy number one for Watchtower, because now people, the platforms like YouTube are giving people like me, like you, everybody who's been through trauma, to speak out and not be afraid, because this bunch of clowns, they don't have control. over us anymore. They can't, you know, hit us with threats. They can't do anything to us. And that's why they make it such a big deal about so-called apostates. How dare they put us in the same category as a child sexual offender? Seriously? But you see, that's how they get to the rank and file, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
yeah, go on. Yeah.
Oh, well, in the way people are waking up now, that's why
Sure.
it's become a bloodbath. Like the Christmas after Uncle Brent went nuts. This brother goes and takes his wife to the Kingdom Hall, shoots her and himself. You know, why would an elder on Christmas Day go to the Kingdom Hall, shoot his wife, and then shoot himself? There's only a couple reasons of why. Either he was being a pedophile, or he was a pedophile hider, or hiding something and freaked out he was going to go down, you know. And we'll never probably ever make the connection of why he did that. But considering it was on the year anniversary of Uncle, you know, it was right after Uncle Brent then took the plea bargain. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it was connected. There have been other, you know, resulting things.
I mean, when you read between the lines, you could be forgiven for coming to that conclusion anyway. Let's be honest. I mean, what else is there? There's no other mitigating circumstance other than, you know, what you can knit together, and it probably is true, because it's just so dark and it's so nefarious. You couldn't attribute, you know, anything else, but
there's nothing else.
There's nothing else, you know. So you know, these people, I mean, they like, he would have, you know, done that to himself, because let's be honest, pedophiles are hated. They're hated when they're exposed, when they're out in the open. You know, they know what's coming to them if they get to prison. You know, they're going to be knocked about. They're going to have the stuffing beaten out of them. And you know, they're cowards, you know, and they don't want that. There's so many paedophiles that go and top themselves because they don't want to face a beating, basically. You know, but whether they're dead or alive, they're going to get what's coming to them anyway, Vanessa. And you are totally and 100% exonerated, my dear. You are completely, you are,
Here we go.
There we go.
I'm ready to come walking down an aisle of a Kingdom Hall near you. Maybe I'll walk down the aisle of the Kingdom Hall, Marion Mark Sanderson. I seriously, I think that it's a good idea. Can you imagine if I would whip them in line, being a governing body member wife? Can you imagine? I would be like, okay, motherfuckers, you know, like, if you want to be a Jehovah's Witness,
you would break the mold. You definitely break the mold. You, on all
let's
levels,
clean house.
Let's clean up and clean out. You just do it on every single level. Seriously. So look, it's been absolutely, it's been a privilege. It's been an honor. It's been humbling listening to you, such a beautiful human being. So, like I ask all my guests, you know what's coming. Yeah.
Oh God.
So, I'm gonna say to you, Vanessa. So if I was to say to you, I escaped, or you were to say to me, I escaped from the tower because, what would your response be?
Because I'm smarter than they are and I'm a badass. You know,
that's a really unique comment. I love it. No, but you know, it just kind of sums everything up, that you're smarter than them. Okay, yeah, you've had to go through the mill. You've had to learn the hard way, because there was nobody there to protect you or help you or drag you out of the situation, you know, remove you. So yeah, and you are the person that you are today because of that experience. So all I can say is, you know, is that, you know, keep being who you are, keep being true to yourself, keep helping others. And I think you're helping way more people than not. The only ones that are not helped are the ones that refuse to listen to your truth. And they miss out because of that. They miss out because of that. Hard cheese.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, you know what's funny is after the homicides, I then was able to figure out, because I was communicating with certain people, that it was the majority family members that were giving me a hard time online. So it's like, you know,
They're
like,
just small fry. They're small fry. Seriously.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
You're big,
that was their motive for doing and saying what they were doing.
yeah,
And it's a
because
shame, because then they ended up looking stupid and getting murdered over the whole stupid thing. It's like,
yeah,
oh wow, you decided to attack me, and when how I have a hard time even feeling bad about what happened because it was so stupid.
yeah.
And
It
that's a
was,
shame
yeah.
on Jehovah's Witnesses.
Look, I hear what you're saying, but you certainly should not feel bad about anything that you've gone through. No child, no human being should have to go through anything remotely like what you have had to go through. Nobody. I just want to finish by asking you something. So you just said, I have no problem. So do you ever think, I know this is really, I know you said nothing was off limits, but do you ever feel like you're still being watched, or people are still, like when you're out and about, is the sky blue?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you
nobody,
don't.
nobody's watching. Guaranteed Mark Sanderson's gonna watch this.
Oh yeah.
Guaranteed. You know.
Hi
Mwah.
Mark,
I
sending
still
love.
love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and his beard. Now I don't have to be his beard. He's got his own.
He's got his own, exactly. Yeah, so you can walk about and live your life with relative freedom. You can do what you need to do, be who you need to be, and don't have anybody looking over your shoulder. That's what I'm saying.
Oh my God, it's even worse than before. Because now, it's
Oh,
Karen.
oh
No.
no.
I have had people show up at my work dressed like dressed with like men in blue shirts on purpose. Like, no, I deliberately do. Yeah. Yes. Where
Okay.
and I don't mind it. I think it's funny. And so then, I sometimes they'll take a picture with them or make a joke about it and hang out with them.
Mm,
No,
right.
I've had people, well, because even like my friends here in town know I'm Smurf Girl. So they'll do things on purpose for me
Right.
because they're
Okay.
they're like supporting my activism. I have a lot of friends that play music and are in bands, and
Right.
they play songs for me sometimes. Like if it's like, hey, them knowing what I'm going through, they'll play a song that will make me either feel better. I'll record it, I'll put it on. So I've got a lot of people cooperating. Like it's amazing
Yeah.
to have, talented people that will, do something special for our active. There are people out there like Taylor Swift, making a song because she sees what's going on in our community. She knows what happened with me. Obviously,
Right.
anybody just has to listen to her whole entire album. It's about
Exactly.
us, every
Yeah.
single one of us. It's
Yes.
about me, it's about you, it's about everything. And it probably won't be declassified for 50 years, if ever,
No.
because she's looking at us, from a celebrity point of view. So she knows. She even went publicly and said that she agrees that Watchtower is involved in spiritism, and she's talking about all of those things. Yeah, there was an article where she said specifically that Jehovah's Witnesses was like steeped in spiritism of,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So I
she's not
mean,
wrong. Yeah, she's not wrong, is she? No, wow.
no, she's
I'd love to get a copy of that statement if you've got it. But please,
oh yeah, yeah.
email it to me. That'd be great. But
Yeah, or
um,
anybody can Google it. Just
okay,
put Taylor Swift and
yeah,
Jehovah's
and Jehovah's
Witnesses.
Witnesses. Okay,
Yeah, and then
right,
even maybe spiritism in the Google search.
right,
But
okay.
like in the song, "The Smallest Man That Ever Lived" was based off of the Jehovah's Witness book, "The Greatest Man That Ever Lived," about Jesus. Like
Ah,
it was about Jehovah's Witness abuse. that, talk about the greatest man who ever lived. I know the smallest man who ever lived. It's my father,
Right.
Arden Hanson. Like, those are things that, we've discussed over the years in the apostate community. And she put it to music, and it was a thing of beauty and
Yes. Oh,
changing. Yeah.
well, she is a force to be reckoned with in the music industry and as a celebrity. And people
Yeah.
do, from time to time use that status for the good to again back the exposure that we've already started. So I just think that's amazing. I didn't realize that she'd actually done an interview and said confirmed that
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witnesses are steeped in spiritism. So
Oh
that's,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's good, and long may it continue. I hope other people that are in the public eye speak out as well. But I definitely want you to come back, Vanessa, because I think we haven't even really scratched the surface. And like I said, I know I'm going to get contacted with this video, with this interview.
Yeah.
And all I can do
I,
is I just want to ask you something. So you've now got a channel, because I want to put that on the description link. Have you got a channel now?
yeah, I put it as XJW Smurf Girl again, but I put
Right.
it XJW Smurf Girl Vanessa Hanson. So I put my real name on there. So,
Mm.
and I put all of my old video, not all of them, because I didn't get all of them, onto Patreon, which is also XJW Smurf Girl. And then I've got Instagram, where what I'm doing with Instagram, because there are a lot of artists that have written songs that are very poignant to the Jehovah's Witnesses, if not completely directly related.
Right.
So I've been doing a lot of that to kind of show people, like, we're not alone. We're not alone at all. Like, celebrities like Cat Williams, his parents were missionaries, and
Oh,
he talks about the Illuminati a lot. That's why I'm sure, because I have special pioneer parents. He's got missionary parents. We're on the same. He even talked about the Smurf in an interview on Joe Rogan, which was amazing.
all
It was
right.
amazing.
You got some
So
airtime.
yeah, it's that.
Wow.
Yeah, we need. Yeah, to
I
recognize that
think
we are not alone. It's bigger than us. It's
no.
great.
I think your experiences and who you are as a person warrants even like a prime time interview on mainstream television, as far as I'm concerned, because you don't have a problem with exposing this organization, and that's what I love about you. No bars held. There's nothing off limits, and
Mm.
yeah, I'll definitely have you back. But I just want to say thank you so much, Vanessa.
You're
You are
welcome. I
amazing,
love
and
you.
I love you too. I love you too. I think you're awesome. You're absolutely beautiful. And please, everybody, if you can support Vanessa either on her channel, again going back to Smurf Girl, and her Patreon, and everything else that she's on at the moment, please support her, because she deserves it. So I just want to say thank you, Vanessa. Thank you for coming along
Thank
today.
you.
All right, and
I
hope to
love
talk
you.
to you
I love
soon.
everybody.
I love you too.